How's it going, guys? We're back at the Cherry Garage today, and we're working on my new 1988 Pontiac Fiero base model. It's all yellow, the only year that they made yellow. I got this a couple days ago, and I already fixed a couple things on it. When I bought it, there was a misfire. That's pretty bad. I found that the previous owner didn't screw in the two spark plugs all the way, so we took them out, cleaned them out, regapped them, and put them back in. Now it's running a lot better. There's a couple issues that I'd like to address today. We're gonna be working on the leaky valve cover gasket and the steering rack bushing. Now, it's common for the steering rack bushings on the passenger side of these to go bad. It's the inner tie rod bushing. They're made of plastic. Most of them are, at least the 88 models are. And I ordered an aftermarket brass version from a guy. I'll put the link in the description below. That should take care of the issue of it clunking and at higher speeds, the steering kind of stuttering a little bit, and it should be basically a brand new car. But you can see it's basically a brand new car. It looks beautiful, the interior and exterior of it, beautiful yellow paint. Interior is basically untouched. There's a new, only thing that's not factory is the new radio that was installed. Other than that, he put some new speakers in and, you know, basic maintenance upgrades, some brakes and some spark plugs. Other than the issues that I'm fixing today, there are a couple things that I want to fix otherwise, which include the dashboard. Now, hoping that when I'm doing the intake or the valve cover gasket, I'll be able to see one of the issues, which is the tachometer is reading double the RPMs, and sometimes it's not reading at all. And I can see down in the engine bay that sometimes, we'll go ahead and take a look. There's some electrical tape on some of the wires by the distributor. So you can see this is like not the best engine bay to be working in, because you have to lean over very far. But luckily we're gonna be working in the top end. Once I take all this out of here, doesn't seem like I'll be accessing a lot, but I'll be able to see a little bit down there by the distributor of what that wiring issue could be. Hopefully fix it right now, and if not, that'll be another episode. Other than that though, everything's perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this up. We'll get started looking at the parts that we have. I have both the aftermarket brass bushing and an upgraded version of the valve cover gasket right here. This is from Rodney Dickman Auto Accessories. He makes them himself. He shipped this. I got it within, I think, 4 days of purchasing it on the website. So that's really nice. And this is from Rock Auto. Down there is the original radio and speakers. But let's take a look at these real quick. So the valve cover gasket I chose to get was from Pro. It's not the original cork style, it's a rubber version. And it also includes metal C-clips basically, or pieces of metal that help hold down the valve cover. So let's see real quick what it looks like. Here's the nice metal reinforced rubber gasket. That's very sturdy, really beautiful. We've got new bolts, super nice. We've got those metal shims, help hold down the head gasket, or valve cover gasket. I'm guessing this is a coolant bypass, something that's on there. We'll find out, maybe EGR. And then some O-rings for, I'm assuming, these. So we'll see. And now for the brass bushing, which I'm gonna be doing first. That has been such an annoying issue. All the clunking and misalignment of the tire has been real annoying to me, and I don't want to go too long. I've been babying it, really babying it, driving it, because I don't want to mess up the inner tie rod that's existing. So here is the brass bushing, very well manufactured from what it looks like in the back package. I'm assuming he makes these on a lathe, of course. He included rivets, because I know that we have to drill through the housing for the steering rack to rivet this in place. But as far as what that is, I guess that's a air bypass to allow it through. So this is a really important piece. So Rodney Dickman went above and beyond with an installation instruction guide with photos as well. Very well done. I'm gonna take a look at these real quick and we'll get to work on it. So all right, after reading the instructions, it's pretty clear as how to do this. It's pretty straightforward. I had already lifted the front end prior to this and taken it all apart just to see what the issue was, which is how I came to this solution. I'm gonna redo that whole process, show you how to lift it, get the inner tie rod disconnected, get the old bushing out, and put this new bushing in. The smaller diameter right here will go on the inside, pushed into the hole, and he says this part will extend about 8 millimeters past, almost 1 centimeter past the housing of the steering rack. At that point, we are going to drill through the steering rack and into this, I think it's about 6 millimeters, install a rivet, and then we're gonna go 180 degrees preferably onto the other side, and then drill and rivet. With the steering rack still in the vehicle, he says it's pretty difficult to get that 180 degree. I'm gonna try my best. If not, I'm gonna go, 270 or something. But he says I can also drill it and tap. I might do that. We'll see how this goes, but I think it'll be all right. As well as cleaning the whole steering rack out and lubricating it with high temp bearing grease probably. So let's go ahead and get started. I put the e-brake on, which is on the left side of the driver's seat. Now I'm gonna lift the vehicle right there. Lift it up high enough that we can get under and work easily. Take these jack stands, place them somewhere that looks safe. Right there. Give it a little old shake test. And you can hear that right there and see it. That's the issue that we're trying to fix. We're gonna be taking this boot down to here, 2 clamps. I already replaced this clamp. Moving it down, disconnecting the ball joint, connecting the two, move this out of the way, and start to work on the steering rack. So for this, I've got a small selection of tools, some channel locks, crescent wrenches, screwdrivers, a little pick, my ratchet set, and there's a couple of things I'm gonna be running into. I used some small sheet metal to get the plastic original bushing out, so we'll see how I get it this time, but this is where we're going so far, and I think you should be able to do it with just these tools to get the original one out. All right, I can get that boot off. It's kind of difficult to get off, but it does move. All right, now you can see the inner tie rod. I took it off before. It was kind of difficult because this piece was crimped onto this piece, but now that it's separated already, it should be a lot easier to get apart. There we go. It's gonna be a lot more effort. First turn for you, getting it past that crimped edge. All right, there we go. Now that one's disconnected. We can get to pulling this plastic bushing out. There's 3 tabs in between these fins. So there's one in this gap, in this gap, and that gap. They're pressed out, so you need to get them pushed in towards this tie rod, and then you can pull the whole thing out. So, all right, so it's a little tricky, but I found the best way to do this is to press on that plastic tab in toward the entire steering rack to fit the shim in. And now that they're all underneath, you can try and bump out that plastic just like that. Yep. And now that piece should come right out. Now that it's out, we can take a look at it. You see these plastic tabs right here are what you need to get that metal on. You can see I broke mine a little bit previously, but it's okay because this is trash. So they don't make these anymore. I think that brass bushing is the best option, according to all the forums and everybody that's done it. So now let's take a clean rag, clean out the inside of that area and see how well that bushing fits. Yeah, just a little bit of dirt in there. I'm actually gonna get some light sandpaper and sand away some of that surface rust. We're gonna do the P600. And you can see nice and clean in there. So now we're gonna get that brass bushing and test fit it. Before I put this in, I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this bearing grease. Cover it up real nice. Might as well get it all. All right. Now, let's go ahead and take this, head back, see how it fits. Remember, the small outer diameter goes in first. Slip it on over the inner tie rod. And already doesn't fit. Okay, so there's a little bit of a lip on this that I need to file down. Smaller file might help you out. This file should do. These four corners basically and this lip right here, that's what needs to be filed down the most. But now testing the fitment, it slides right on, and I'm just gonna go ahead and grease up this entire tie rod before sliding it in all the way. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and put this in with that air hole facing straight down. And press it right on into place. Yep, it goes in a little bit further. Just to make sure it's all the way in, I'm gonna grab my rubber mallet, or you can grab a screwdriver and flip it around to the rubber end. Whack on that, just so you don't damage the brass or deform it. See that rubber end on there? That'll be nice. And a small little hammer. That's the good combo right there. Now, that looks like about 8 millimeters to me. Make sure it still functions properly. Yep. That looks beautiful. No clunking noises, no problem. Now comes the fun part of putting the drill holes in it. So, he says in the manual, see this little ring right here, that's where the boot seats. You can either drill before or after the boot. I think I'm gonna drill, man, this is tough. I'm gonna do after the boot because before it is only gonna make it harder to get that boot on and off, but that would be preferable to put it here because then it would be outside of the elements. So it's up to you, whichever one you can do, but if your boots like mine are a little stiff, shoot for the outside of the boot. So you want to make it a little bit bigger than the rivet, just so the rivet can go in there and grasp it into place. So we're only going to want to go down as deep as the rivet is. So take that, put tape just about right there so you know where to stop. And now we've got our drill ready to go. All right guys, I got it drilled and riveted. It was a little bit of a hassle, but here we got, you can see this one rivet right here, one on the other side. I had a 90-degree drill bit attachment, so I was able to get that one. It was pretty tough, but it's in there secure, and now we can put it back together. So repeat the process that we started with, and it should just go back together just fine. You just want to line this ball joint back up to where it was originally, and it should all be good to go. So I'm gonna finish this up, show you the final product, and then we're gonna move on to the valve cover gasket. It's all tidied up. You can see it down here. All clean, all perfect. Let's check to see if there's any playing out. Nothing abnormal. It moves just like it should. Real smooth, no bounces, nothing. Now, it should be good and roadworthy. All right, now we're gonna move on to the valve cover gasket. I'm gonna let this car down, get all my tools out the way, clean up, and get ready for that side. All right, we're back with the valve cover gasket. We're gonna be removing the intake and the rocker cover. I think there's only like 10 bolts, nothing crazy. This comes off real easy. We're just gonna get straight to it. I was looking up the information on valve lash adjustment and there is none, so there's not really much maintenance you can do besides just checking the internals of the cylinder head on the top end. So we'll be doing that, but let's go ahead and start taking this apart. These should just be finger loose. And that'll come right off. And now this one, you unplug right here, and there's a vacuum line running to it as well. Don't lose that. There's the vacuum line. Go ahead and disconnect this from here, and this should slide right on out. Now we have access to the rocker panel. This is the gasket that we got. It should pop right on out. That's the PCV valve. So we are gonna take this module off. All right, the reason I got this all opened up is because I found water in the bottom, so I'm letting it dry out, and I'm gonna be siliconing the cracked areas that, they're not cracked, this little piece right here is kind of pushed up a little bit, so I'm gonna silicone it closed. I don't know if you can see that, but that should solve that issue. We're gonna take all these spark plug wires out of here and disconnect anything that's in the way. Looks like there's not much, mainly just the spark plugs. I think we can get around just popping them off and leaving them plugged in, so. Okay, this just has 2 bolts, which is nice. Oh, it's EGR, duh, okay. Get them out of the way. Let's start undoing these bolts. We had a total of 7 bolts. And now, this should come straight off. Yep. All right, make sure there's nothing on here that'll fall when you flip it. Take a look on the inside. That's not good. Smells pretty good to me though. Looks like this was done before with a cork gasket, and it was cleaned up a little bit. You can see underneath, but I guess I didn't torque it down correctly. We're gonna go ahead and take this gasket off. You wanna be sure to get all of this off. Now I'm gonna go back through, there's a razor blade, try and get off some of this before I use some type of scoring pad like a steel wool. Now they got the valve cover all cleaned up and shiny, we're gonna get ready to install the gasket, clean off this block or cylinder head surface, make sure it's dry before we continue. I'm gonna torque these down to 45 inch-pounds, general star pattern. I used the white washers that came in the pack. The black ones are for valve covers that don't have a extended washer flange. You'll notice it on the bottom if it's flat or if it has a little washer push out. All right. Move the EGR valve gasket. It's a good idea to go ahead and clean out the EGR valve. Reconnect everything.
Is it free?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
You install the other priority too?
Yep.
Nice.
This hose back on.
Do a shotgun review today, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
It's perfectly. So let's give her a startup and see how different it is.
Okay. Oh God.
Oh, this thing's feeling nice. Oh, this feels so much better. No clunking, tight steering, running better. This is it.
On the next episode.
We fixed the tack. Damn, bro, you better not hit me.
I am insured.
Well, all in all, this worked out all great. Thanks for watching this episode. Tune in next episode for when we fix the tachometer and anything else that's not working. So, yeah. Be sure to like and subscribe. You want to say it?
Yeah, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe if Keaton's POV how-to video helped you.